Nolan Naraki, Kevin Fishbane here with me, guys. We got a game time decision to make this week. We're trying to figure out who has the best secondary in the NFL. Now, we're well aware of the fact that there were a few 5,000-yard passers last year. Secondaries don't look so hot right now. But Nolan, who's your favorite in the NFL?
I'm going to go with the New York Jets. You look at what Darrelle Revis has done. He's clearly the very best in the league, and by a large margin. He can shut down half the field. He makes things easy for the rest of that defense, especially in the secondary. I think Antonio Cromartie is very good for what they do. And they went out and they signed Jeremiah Bell and LaRon Landry. I think they're both going to be very good in that defense.
Probably the best cornerback tandem in the NFL. Those safeties, there are probably some questions there, don't you think, Kevin?
Well, I think if Landry and Jeremiah Bell play to their potential and maybe what they were a couple of years ago, then I think that is the best secondary. But when I look at complete secondary, I got to look at Baltimore. You know, they don't have the Darrelle Revis at cornerback, but they got Ed Reed in the back of that secondary, kind of that ball hawk. Not a whole lot of those left. You look at those cornerbacks, Ladarius Webb, and they got Jimmy Smith coming up, who I think is going to end up being a pretty good corner. They got a lot of depth there. I mean, look what they did to Tom Brady in that playoff game last year. I know they lost, but they really made the Patriots work to get to that Super Bowl. So I would have to throw the Ravens in there as a possible best secondary.
Now, guys, you look through the 2012 NFL preview guide from Pro Football Weekly. We grade every single level of the offense and defense for all 32 teams. There were only 3 teams whose secondaries had an A- or higher, and included those 2 teams, and the Seahawks were the third. Is there something going on in the NFL right now that there's less talent at the cornerback and safety positions, or is it just the fact that quarterbacks are making cornerbacks and safeties look bad right now?
Well, I think the NFL rule changes have definitely played in favor of the quarterbacks and of the receivers. And then another big reason for that, I think, is the influx of receiving talent into the league. I think the receivers have been much stronger than the cornerbacks and safeties. We haven't seen a good safety come out of the draft for a couple of years now. Mark Barron came in, but I mean, there's been very little in terms of elite quality the last couple of years.
Yeah, all you have to do is look at what the tight ends are doing around the league. Rob Gronkowski, Jimmy Graham, you know, these guys are so good. Well, nobody is anybody to stop them. There's no safeties, there's no giant cornerback that can slow some of these guys down. So I think that does play a big role. And you mentioned, you know, the fact that these cornerbacks can't press the way they used to. Whenever a quarterback's going to put up the numbers that they have, you're obviously going to look at the secondary and say, well, you know, there's certainly some struggles going on there. So I think that we have seen just an issue of trying to find great corners. You just don't find a Darrelle Revis every day.
And you move back to the safety position, you see guys like Troy Polamalu, Ed Reed, a couple of the best at the position in the history of the league. They're starting to get a little bit older. It's a little bit tougher to find some depth there. I'm not sure in the past couple drafts, Harrison Smith and Raheem Moore are the guys that are going to replace him. But Nolan says it's the New York Jets. Kevin says it's the Baltimore Ravens. Who do you think has the best secondary in the NFL? Be sure to sound off in the comments section of our YouTube channel. And for a new game time decision every week, keep checking back to ProFootballWeekly.com.